Is it down? Almost 2 years ago my wife had an affair. It was on, off for at least 6 months. I caught it 4 times. To this day she claims it was an emotional, affair. I don't have direct evidence it was physical, but I saw emails that strongly suggested the physical part. Since the affair I have held on but close to the end of my rope with the marriage, just had 20-year anniversary. This is mainly due to the fact that she has given little effort to try to improve our marriage. Of course, she blamed the state of our marriage as the reason, blame shifting, for having the affair. I tried confronting the other man several times, but he always hid from me. My question is this: for a while now, I have thought about contacting his girlfriend of 12 years and mother of their 2 children about the affair. I feel she should know the type of person she has her wagon hooked up to, what kind of a role model he is going to be for their children. I've asked myself if I am being vindictive, and sometimes I think so what, but I also know if it was me, I would want to know. He is a total wuss. I was a wreck and I still tried to confront him. He stood me up 3 times and never answered his phone. Imagine that. I think it has taken me this long to get to the point of making consequences. On both sides, this guy walks away scot-free after wrecking my life. What kind of messed up logic is that? I was worried that after 2 years it just looks vindictive, but it's never too late to do the right thing. Over the course of the last couple of months with talks with the wife, I have realized she is not willing to put in any work into improving the marriage. She is coasting in this marriage, and why shouldn't she? I allow it. I've never given consequences for her affair and have allowed the ongoing limbo to occur. She's getting all her needs met. Why should she put any effort into changing anything? Her life rocks. I am planning on telling her within the next week that I'm not accepting this state of marriage any longer. I'm willing to go in 100% to trying to save it, but I am not doing it alone. She must jump in 100% as well. If she is not willing to do that, I will file for divorce. I plan on giving her 2 days to decide. I plan on calling a marriage counselor or lawyer at the end of the 2 days. I'm trying to decide if I should tell the girlfriend anyway, or if the wife decides she wants to try to save the marriage not telling the girlfriend. I don't know why it feels like I'm being vindictive for telling the other woman. I think because it's been almost 2 years since it stopped. I think anyway. I know they traded FB messages about 6 months ago. It feels like I'm being mean, like I'm wanting to cause hurt for being hurt. Being honest, I know that's part of it. Another part is to have consequences happen. And the third part is I know I would want to know, so from that angle it feels like the right thing to do. Maybe it's the feeling of taking back power and getting self-respect back. About 6 months ago my therapist recommended No Nicer Guy book. Needless to say, I totally identified with it. For a very long time I have been afraid of upsetting my wife. In the last couple of months, I have lost much of that. Not all though. I can force myself now to say things I know she's not going to like, but it's not easy. I'm getting there. I am a recovering nice guy. I have decided I am going to tell the other woman. I am also going to give my wife one last chance to save the marriage. If she does not want to comply with my boundaries, marriage counseling, then I will file for divorce. I've allowed this for way too long. Comments. So basically, they never really felt any guilt or remorse for their cheating. The only way you will stop hurting and continue being hurt by your cheating wife is to blow up her affair to the other man's girlfriend now. Once you've done this, sit back and watch the fireworks, while your wife will do one of 2 things. 1. Blame you for hurting her and driving her into the arms of another man. Continue to disrespect you and show you no real true guilt and true remorse. She'll continue belittling you with more BS words. Or 2. She's finally seen the true hurt she has put you through and will beg for forgiveness and show you real true guilt and true remorse. It's at this point she'll see you again, the man she married, because right now you are plan B. The OM is plan A. Inner happiness and a self-respect come from within. You need to man up here and take charge for yourself first. OP responds, I plan on having divorce papers completely ready. I will be at the point where I just have to pick up the phone to the lawyer and say file, and he will drop papers at the courthouse and have her served. I have no intention of bluffing. I have been all talk and no action before. This time I plan on being short on talk backed up with quick action. I didn't tell his GF yet. I've been trying to find a phone number or address as I don't have either. I would prefer calling her on the phone. She has a FB profile. Right now, my only option is to send a message to her through Facebook. Thoughts on this? Days later, I was able to get the phone number. I figured out someone who knows her and said I wanted to get in touch with her, and did this person have her number? As a matter of fact, they did. Just made my life easier. I'm not on the fence any longer about contacting. It's the right thing to do. Away we go. The funny thing is I used to feel like I was being mean for telling the OM's significant other. The reality is any sane person would do this. It's letting someone know that their so is a cheater. It's like I was accepting consequences for my wife's and the OM's actions. How crazy is that? I have held off calling this week because the W went to the first MC and made an appointment for the second one on Monday, 4 days after the first. Given her history, it will be a few MC sessions without any real work between the sessions, then she will find something wrong with the counselor. etc. You never know. Anyway, I know I need to not worry about how it affects my outcome, make the call to get it off my chest, and finish getting my self-respect back. From there let the chips fall where they may with the possible R. The OMGF deserves to know, and I know this. It's the right thing to do for both the guy's girlfriend, and my actions have consequences. Just to clarify a couple of points, it is not my goal to blow up the affair. Of course, I don't know for sure, but the affair is over. I am doing it partially to blow out any remaining fog. Now there is no doubt some fog left because I never dealt with it initially. I may be kidding myself, but don't think it's still happening. I am calling the OMGF for 3 reasons. 1. To finally deal with the situation. To face it and provide consequences that I never provided before. 2. To tell the OMGF she has a right to know. 3. To give me some of my self-respect back and put it in the rear-view mirror. I'm tired of dealing with it. In regard to the false R, I have given my boundaries, to the W what is acceptable to try to rebuild the marriage. So far after a week she is within the boundaries. I don't have an attachment to what happens. I am ready to move forward either way, but it is time to move forward. It's on her to show continued effort. If she doesn't, I am moving my life forward without her. I am a recovering nice guy and tend to way overthink things, as nice guys are prone to do. I feel like I am taking the right steps for myself. Tomorrow I will call a pie and see how much they would charge to find a freaking cell phone number. You wouldn't think it would be that hard. No response yet on the FB message, but those things seem like a crapshoot unless you are friends. Other than those options, I'll go knock on the door and hopefully OM won't be there then. I do have an address that appears valid. Update, boys and girls. I finally found my ex and called OM's wife. Turns out she knew about the affair and had been trying to let it go. Said her and OM were having a real hard time right now. Said OM threw in her face recently that she should remember he could be with my wife if he so chose. Then, OM called me 10 minutes later. Said he wanted me to know that they haven't seen each other in a couple of years, but she emails him from time to time to catch up. See how things are. I asked when the most recent time was. He said about 2 months ago. I asked if he emailed her or she emailed him during these quick catch-ups. He said she always emails him. See what you learn when you lose the nice guy. Face your fear and pick up the phone. This happened late this afternoon. I'm still processing why he called me. I know it's because his wife told him I called her and it stirred crap up. But why would he call me to tell me it's just an innocent email every couple of months? Comments. So, the affair never ended. So, she has probably been fishing and sending out bait to affair partner all along. Kind of makes you think that it went to Pia at some point, doesn't it? So, the ball is in your court, Mr. Nice Guy. What are you going to do? I'd say it's time to lay down the law. My way or the highway time. I'm guessing that she'll call your bluff at first, but when she realizes that Mr. Wonderful isn't leaving his girlfriend, she'll start feeling you out to see what she has to say and promise to do to get you to stay. OP responds, the wild thing is when I saw my wife tonight, she was super sweet. So, unlike her, it's strange, it was literally within a couple hours after I made the call. She was texting the crap out of me, which is very abnormal. Then when I saw her, she was all kisses and hugs. Again, not normal. So, it's weird. Personally, it seems like it's a big cover-up. Something is up. It's obvious they are still in contact. Clearly other man contacted her and let her know I called his wife. Obviously, this is why she is all of a sudden being sweet and attentive. Makes me sick to my stomach. How can people do this crap? It's crazy. Clearly, she is continuing to coast in the marriage because it's the easiest thing for her and I have allowed it. Clearly, I need to do what is best and healthiest for myself, which is not be a backup plan and remove myself from the situation. I've allowed it for too long. I started getting my self-respect back finally. Let's keep the ball rolling. Really glad I made the call and stirred the hornet's nest. Time to keep it moving and get to a place where this crap isn't in my life. I set the boundary of MC or divorce lawyer 2 months ago. She chose MC. A huge reason for me doing this was to see if she would engage to try to rebuild the marriage. She has shown up for the sessions and been open but little effort outside of the sessions, which is pretty much what I expected. There is no reason for me to do further digging. OM told me everything I needed to know yesterday. Funny thing is what he said was to save his own ass in front of his girlfriend of 12 years. That he hasn't touched my wife in 2 years. They only email every couple of months, etc. But in trying to save his own ass he told me what I needed to finally turn the page on this crappy last 2+ years. I know my wife has continued to stay in contact with him, and that it has been her doing the outreach. And I know I've never given consequences for that because I was scared or weak or both. The part where he said that he tells his girlfriend, don't forget I can always be with X. My wife says it all to me. She has been the one to stay in contact with him. He has all the power in that relationship. It's high time I took back the power in my situation. And this information completely gives me that power back. It feels great. I don't feel sad or upset or pissed or angry or any of that. Truthfully, I feel pretty good. I think it's because it is not unexpected and I feel okay about moving on with my life and taking care of myself. losing the part of my life that is unhealthy. Hopefully that makes sense. A good friend of mine who has been through a similar situation suggested I wait a day or two before saying anything to the W. He said it would allow me to calm down and not too emotional to her. Plus, it would allow her to sweat it out for a few days. His thought was that she obviously knows I contacted OM's W. Give a couple of days to see if my W says anything. If she doesn't, then her head is still in the same place, but if she does say something to me, then maybe she is progressing. If she doesn't say anything, then she is still trying to hide crap. Really, to me, the only reason she would come clean to me was because she has been caught. Again, that's been her thing when this crap happens. I didn't say anything last night. Part of what he says makes sense, but the other side of me thinks she's already hiding stuff. Like staying in contact. I like the letting her sweat for a day or two, but she's pretty good at compartmentalizing things. Plus, when I keep stuff inside, I wind up overthinking it, rationalizing, stalling, etc. She is still in contact. That's the main thing. The only reason the other man would call me back and try to convince me and his W that nothing is going on besides the occasional email is that there is more to the story. Why work so hard to convince me and his W otherwise? As most of us know, when someone tells you something or admits to something, there is almost always more to the story. Plus, it is further evidence to her half-hearted effort in R. He rubs it in his wife's face when they fight that he can pick up the phone and be with my wife if he so chooses. That means my wife is the one staying in contact and do the fishing. Why would I want that in my life? I've finally got more respect than that. Why wait? Just say it and get it out there. I've waited in the past and look where that's gotten me. W brought it up last night. Well, first she brought up several other things to ask me about that she had questions about. Why was I taking testosterone, etc. Blame shifting. Knocked me off my guard. She said other man emailed her Sunday to say I had contacted his longtime GF and that it was not cool. She asked why I did this. I said GF has a right to know and I wanted to put the affair fully in the rear view mirror for me. I also told her that other man told me she emails him every month or two to check in and pretty much has steadily for the last 3 years. Her response: he has emailed her 3x this year, on her birthday, Mother's Day, and 6 weeks ago to tell her he had a torn ACL. I said, why would you hide this? Because it's innocent emails, nothing to them. I said, given what kind of ST this caused, it doesn't make any sense that you would hide it. Nothing is there. I said, every time I find something out there is always more there. Why should this time be any different? I also said, why would OM call me 15 minutes after I called his GF to frantically tell me nothing was going on? Her response was he was probably trying to show his GF nothing is going on. She tried to shift blame to me by saying my call was what caused a huge fight with them. Do I enjoy upsetting other people's lives? I said I was the messenger. It was not my actions that caused the blow-up. It was hers and OM's. I said he emailed you Friday because your interactions with me changed significantly that night and during the weekend. She said, oh yeah, that's what I meant, not Sunday. She asked why I didn't bring it up sooner. I said because I wanted to calm down some, plus I wanted to see if she was going to say anything. I told her even if nothing else is going on, she is still in contact with him, and that was enough for me. I am done. Since she can't seem to give him up, she can go be with him. I don't care anymore. I'm not a backup plan. Go be with this guy. DTW. I also found out from his GF, who called me again on Monday to tell me more about their crappy situation. That he has had multiple affairs. Both Pia and EA. During the 12 years they have been together. He had slept with a friend of theirs last Friday night after I called her. I told my wife this, that it sounds like she was one of many. I can only imagine how this made her feel. She stated several times nothing is going on. She doesn't want to be with him, and let's be honest, who would? I said, well, you can't seem to let it go, so that speaks volumes. I hate that my thought process today is to be a nice guy. I see that she is hurting and my first reaction is to try to make her feel better. I hate that this is my gut instinct. I have to fight against it. My default setting is to try to make it better. Every time. Must fight instincts. I need to just sit back and not do anything to make it better. I know if I back down, I am the ultimate doormat. I was trying to read my wife's face when I told her how many affairs this dude had, both E and P, if it hurt her. She hit it pretty well. Either way, it had to feel crappy knowing she was one in a herd, especially the way she poured her freaking heart out and became so emotionally submissive to him. Why did I even think this? Her choice, she deals with it on her own. Days later, we had a MC scheduled for yesterday morning, went ahead and kept it. This whole situation was discussed, of course. W insists it was other man sending the emails and that they are benign. She takes responsibility for acknowledging them and not letting me know about them. She knows my boundary of no contact and understands she crossed it. Very emotional and raw session for her. Lot of feeling disrespected by me for our 20 years together. Seriously not sure where that is from. Has felt like her life is not at all how what she wanted. She has little self-respect for herself. Etc. was tough to watch. Here is something that her and I discussed. I would love to hear some opinions on this. She said a prime example of how I don't respect her is that I called the O. In my wife's opinion, all I did with that call was duck up their life further, and it was completely disrespectful to my wife. I told her I completely disagree. My call was simply the message. My W and the OM are the ones that chose the actions that caused the harm. I don't understand her thought process on this. She again stated that me making the call was disrespectful to her. I said no, it's you not taking responsibility for your actions. I was the messenger. You, another man, did the actions that caused the harm. Step up and take responsibility for your own actions. I then said what is disrespectful is you staying in contact with OM even if it is innocent. Which I said I don't believe. Having contact with other man while we were in last effort MC to save the marriage is completely disrespectful to me and this marriage. Your actions tell me this relationship is more important to you than me or this marriage. So, go get it. I'm done. I'm not anybody's backup plan. I'm done. I've not put him up on Cheaterville. I could tell his longtime GF, who threw him out a week ago, but whatever, when I called and stirred up trouble. Of the Cheaterville website, and maybe she will want to put it up. What a crazy and interesting ride the last 5 days have been. A month later, just a quick update. After the initial blow-up 3 weeks ago, we talked about divorce, separation, and a third option that consisted of putting divorce talk on hold, each giving each other a list of must-haves if we decided to stay together for another couple of months, and give the W a chance to assess if she could work on figuring out ways to start living a happier life without blowing up the 20-year marriage. This would be done without trying to improve the marriage. Well, for the first week or so, the openness was there. The honestly, seriously felt like the true friendship was back. Then the open talks faded off, the being emotionally closed off popped back up, etc. just faded away. About a week and a half ago, I gave her my short list of must-haves. She said she would get back to me soon. I got angry Saturday night, said she was dragging her feet on getting me her must-have list. She said she could share her thoughts by Tuesday. Tuesday evening, I asked her about it and she said, I don't like dealing with ultimatums. I was floored. I said we both agreed to look at this option. You are the one that gave me the time frame. Crazy. I started doing my due diligence on quick divorce options. We are both on the same page in terms of doing what's best for our daughters. I feel she will work through this with me. I asked her yesterday if she saw any other options. She said she didn't really want a divorce but didn't know of any other options. To me, it's another instance of it simply not being worth the effort. I've done everything I know how. I got too fixated on this third option, probably because I was fearing the inevitable. I know I've got to get this anchor off my neck. It's been dragging me down for 3 years. Time to drop the weight and move on. Put it in the rearview mirror. Even though it's a big step, I know inside me it's the right thing. It is so liberating to be taking some action. I felt guilty for 2 years before I contacted her. Making that call was one of the most liberating things I have done. I did it 4 weeks ago. It took me a long time to wrap my head around the fact that it wasn't me as the messenger that was causing strife. It was my wife's and the OM's, and caused strife it did. It totally messed up the OM and girlfriend's world, and rearranged mine, which I am fine with and grateful for. It finally unstuck me from limbo. Even yesterday my wife said to me that it was extremely selfish, mean, and vindictive of me to call the OM's girlfriend. I said it wasn't my actions that caused it. She just doesn't see it as her and OM's actions that caused the mess in both sets of relationships. It's crazy to me that people can't take responsibility for their own actions. The OM's now former girlfriend contacted me recently to tell me that the other man read her a novel of an email my wife sent to him. There were many things in there. I am unstable. She doesn't understand why he would throw her under the bus by telling me that they had still emailed this year. Since they have been good friends for so long, she is upset that the former girlfriend and I have talked, etc. When I told my wife about this, she vehemently denied it, as in she swore to my face she didn't. Then this weekend I found out she lied to me about the email because she just wants out of the whole situation. She is tired of defending herself and doesn't want to be in the middle of the BS anymore. I also found out that she feels that me, the OM and the OM's former girlfriend are getting off on hurting her, and that I am horrible for starting this whirlwind. She feels that the three of us are feeding on this debacle like we are getting something good out of it. You can't make this stuff up. I am anxious to hear reactions to this. And yes, I have gotten started on divorce. I've seen enough of a false R by this point, trust me. I was ready to pull the plug a month ago when I found out she was still in contact. Of course, she says it's always him that sends an email. It was only on her birthday, Mother's Day. Mysteriously, the emails have been deleted. Then to see her lie yet again next week. Plus, it's amazing that this is my fault somehow. Because I called the OM's GF, this is the reason for this. Seriously, I am working on the D this week, already started. The ongoing thought process that the other man, his now former GF, and I are somehow ganging up on her is incredible to me. Who thinks like this? That somehow the three of us are ganging up on her to try to hurt her. She said the three of us were a complete bunch of bad guys. The complete and total victim mentality is just unbelievable to me. At what point does someone actually step up and take responsibility for their own actions? Something I have learned through all of this, my own personal experiences as well as others that I have read. People will either take responsibility for their actions or they will be victim. They will look at something they've done, say, oh crap, I really screwed up. I've hurt I've divided the family, etc. or whatever. They will take responsibility for their actions and do what it takes to make it right. Or they will say it's not my fault. My marriage was bad. I've been unhappy. They let the hamster wheel of rationalization shift blame so it's not their fault. People feel remorse for what they did or remorse for getting caught. It is a fundamental character difference. What kind of person do you want to put your trust in? Your future in. Days later, I have done lots of research on self-divorce as well as seen an attorney. I can either pick up the phone and call the attorney and he can file, or my wife has seemed to be ready to do self-divorce with me. During our last talk I told the W with the holidays coming up I'm fine with making it through the holidays before proceeding. My question is, am I using the holidays as a crutch to put it off? I feel resolved and this is something I need to do for my own well-being. I know this marriage is no longer good for me. I will never have trust again, etc. I want my daughters to enjoy the holidays before dropping the hammer, but knowing this is such a huge decision I have wrestled with, I have to wonder if I am using this as a delay tactic. My W's parents wanted to speak to us last night, so we went over there and talked to them. Her mom and I, being the dominant personalities, quickly got quite lively. Her mother said our daughters deserve to know something. I told her to mind her own business. She said she was uncomfortable around me and I said that was her problem, not mine. I'm not sure what the purpose of the talk was. They wanted some clarity, I think, on how to act with the holidays coming up. I told my parents that as of right now we are married, so act like it. Simple as that. Why is that hard? I have to be honest here. I get it, okay. It's her parents, they want to protect her. That being said, her mother always says she doesn't like to stick her nose in our business, yet last night she had it pretty far up my back while my W watched. Anyway, it made some things really come clear to me about my mother-in-law. Some facts. After I busted my W the second time with being in contact with OM, the mother-in-law got my W a burner phone. Her reason is that I was invading my wife's privacy by looking at her texts. Mother-in-law told me I acted crazy by looking at the W's email and phone during her affair. I am now a changed person for doing this. I told the mother-in-law that my W and OM had very emotional I love you going back and forth via text, email. Very emotional, teenager-like. As in, you are my world. The MIL responded by saying, well, you have female friends. Don't you tell them you love them? I said, I say I love you to 4 females, my W, my 2 daughters, and my mom. I said it's hard to describe when your spouse looks you dead in the eye and lies to you to be with another person. Mother-in-law said I lied to my husband. My follow-up about trust in a committed relationship was blown off. She says things like he is just doing that to put on a show that he is a good father when I take my daughters to a movie, and I bet that credit card didn't work because he canceled you, which are completely untrue. It's the taking a situation and making a worst-case assumption and planting the seed of doubt in someone else. Says things just like my W that she doubts my intention and sincerity despite the fact that my words and actions match and have matched for a long time. Now says she feels uncomfortable that my W and I haven't told our daughters exactly where the state of our marriage is. My response was, they know we are having problems. We are an MC, and I will not tell them we are divorcing until that is a final, because that is not the right way to approach it. Some of this is just a vent. Other parts are I can now see where my W gets a lot of her puppet strings pulled. It's just wacky. The mother-in-law will say I don't want to interfere with your business, but her actions are totally the opposite. It's like she is trying to be the puppet master. A year later, cut to the chase, we are still married. It was just over a year ago that I really found out about affairs, how they work, going underground, how you shouldn't try to nice someone out of an affair, etc. I did a lot of work on myself and have come a long way. In the grand scheme of my life, I am happy except for my marriage. My wife has been depressed for at least 5 years, probably closer to 10, but it's definitely been worse since the affair 4 years ago. Both of my daughters have commented numerous times on it, asking me about midlife crisis, etc. She won't do anything to try to make herself happier. She won't go to therapy, take antidepressants, etc. She keeps spinning the wheel over and over. That's how she's built. She'd rather stay unhappy than do something different. I have realized over this long holiday weekend, when I spent extensive time with myself and my 2 daughters and minimal time with my wife around, that I actually prefer it to her being around. I am more relaxed and have more fun engaged in life when she is not around. She places a lot of blame for her unhappiness on me because it's easier than looking inside of herself and making any changes. She has always been pretty closed off emotionally, and over the course of the last 5 years plus this has become even more so. She is unhappy more than she is happy. Anyway, I know this has been a long rant. I welcome any thoughts, suggestions, face slaps, etc. I have broken much of my nice guy mold over the past year. I know I have a way to go. It's a work in progress. I don't let her blame me for her unhappiness. I have established boundaries in such areas of this. I remove myself when she starts down this path, etc. We fight more since I stand up to her. I feel she would be fine with us doing our own thing. I realized recently how all the areas of her life that she says are bad, her job, her marriage, her relationships with several of her friends, her health, has a common denominator, her. Due to the affair, I realize how much I miss being with someone who engages in life, shares themselves emotionally, and at the end of the day wants to put equal effort into a great relationship. This one feels very one-sided to me. Any MC or any attempts to work on our marriage have been initiated by me. I know I rug-swept the affair for several years before really facing it. I know trust as we knew it is gone. I look at staying in this marriage as is and it just depresses me. Maybe the years of false are doomed it. I was thinking this morning about the various things that have happened in our marriage or in general regarding my wife where I have said to myself that's it. That's the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm done. It has happened numerous times in the last year. My grandmother passed, I told my wife, and she didn't care enough to tell her parents. Her telling me to my face that the reason she had been sicker the last 3 years was because of the stress I was causing her. When both of my daughters talked to me about mommy's depression and midlife crisis and seeing some of my wife's ability to lie with a straight face manifest itself in my oldest daughter, at each juncture I realize I am looking for the reason to leave. I keep looking for validation that it's okay to leave. I have to trust in myself. I know I've done enough. That coupled with the eye-opener last weekend where I realized I like life better when she is not around tells me what I need to know. Time to trust myself. My issue is that I can't just wall her off. Actually, I take that back. I can. It's that I refuse to. Prior to the affair I accepted that she was emotionally withdrawn. I did what I could to pull her out and try to build an emotionally connected partnership and marriage. At some point I decided it simply wasn't going to happen. I think this is a major reason why I accepted a lot of the fault of her affair. We weren't emotionally close. It wasn't until maybe a year after the beginning of the affair that I woke up and realized that it was up to her to re-engage emotionally. I just don't think she is able to due to depression, lack of interest in me, or whatever. I refuse to go back to that, so every couple of months I push for me. We have a big blow up. And round we go. My mistake is keeping doing that over and over. I simply need to realize she doesn't have it in her. I won't go back to emotionally walled off, yet she chooses to remain that way, so I keep ramming my head into the wall. We have a cycle I finally recognize where every couple of months I get upset at something that involves her level of engagement in the marriage. We have a fight, and she ups her level of engagement for a couple of weeks, and then we go back to how it was. I think she is a depressed person with a victim attitude who most likely fell out of love with me and continues the marriage because it is the easiest choice. Yeah, that's pathetic, I know. I am ready to move on. What messes me up is I keep feeling like I am waiting for that big something that says it's okay to move on. I know I have given every effort. I know I will be happier moving on. It's going to destroy me because we have 2 girls, 11 and 15, that I worry so much about. I know they are learning from this. I feel like it's because maybe I don't trust myself, my own decision, even though I know I've given every effort. I'm already kicking myself for waiting as long as I have. Once you know it inside and I'm finally able to trust myself, it's time. Part of my ongoing frustration is ramming my head into the wall trying to make it better over and over and over. Something has shifted in my internally. It's like acceptance. More precisely, trust in what feels right. To me, my comment, the last small update was the fact that OP did divorce her. But he did not say much after that. It took OP a while to get the job done, but I'm really glad he did. She blamed him for the affair. That's when